Imagine a world where more women had the time to fully explore their genius. Welcome to She Rebel Radio, a community-driven podcast dedicated to supporting women leaders to unlearn conventional rules and create their businesses of significance. This is our International Women's Day Inspire series with our headline partners, NatWest. NatWest has been a pioneer in supporting women in business since 2019. We have 10 new guests sharing their stories with you to inspire, to educate, and to empower. As you navigate this series with us, I'd love for you to consider, what is inspiring you for 2024? How do you personally make it work as a woman in business? And what change would you make to your industry to inspire more inclusion of women? My name's Lulu Mins. I host retreats and create spaces for women leaders to explore their genius. And today, I'm going to create that same space right here for you on this podcast. Welcome to episode 137 of She Rebel Radio, inspiring your day-to-day with Ann Reid. Ann is the founder of Doqit, who have a simple vision to make day-to-day life admin simpler and easier for everyone. Doqit was born from Ann's first-hand struggles as a lone working parent. She faced the challenge of managing her daughter Chloe's rare genetic condition whilst also juggling the overwhelming complexities of their life admin. Navigating the mounds of paperwork, including insurances, warranties, hospital appointments, tax returns and more, she found she was drowning under the weight of disorganisation and uncertainty. Ann was driven by the belief that there had to be a better way and embarked on the journey to create Doqit, an innovative, user-friendly SAAS platform designed to revolutionise the way we manage our day-to-day administrative lives. Ann, it's amazing to have you here. How are you doing?
Oh, it's amazing to be here. Thanks so much. I'm great. Feel even better hearing your sparkly voice.
Oh, thank you. I know we needed to hit record because we started chatting before doing so. So I'm really looking forward to diving in. So I'd love for us to start with you telling me about your day-to-day admin challenges as a lone parent and a business owner and how that led to the creation of Doqit.
Oh no, I'd love to tell you about that. So the problem started. The problem started a while ago, and I was going through a divorce. My daughter Chloe, who's now 21, she was going through a medical diagnosis. She's got complex additional needs, and I found myself in a sea of paperwork. Now, in fact, two small rainforests of paperwork, and this and I just couldn't find anything, never knew where anything was. And this was at the time when the sort of digital transformation stage was starting to come through. And I was like that, hurrah, there was all the promises of streamline, a place for everything. And actually, it was mayhem because not only did I have piles, then I had files, I had PDFs, I had Excel spreadsheets, I had clouds. And it was so I had my life admin spread across just this mix of on and offline places. And when I say like offline, I mean everything from leaving myself a yellow sticky in the dashboard of my car, writing notes in my hands. And the tipping point for me came when I think it was the third year I was late paying my tax return.
Right.
I was a lone parent. I couldn't afford that £100 fine. That would have fed Chloe and I for about a month, for goodness sake. And that was when I thought, right, there needs to be something out there that can help me manage this day. And when I say day to day, it's not stuff that you have, it's not every day. So it would be insurances, it would be annual benefit statements, it would be my UTR, my national insurance, it would be Chloe's appointments. So it was things that happened day to day rather than every day. And of course, there was all these productivity tools, organization tools. And do you know, I was that there has to be a golden fleece, and there wasn't, because everything was really complicated. And as a mum and as a working mum, I needed something that was easy, that I could access quickly, and also that I could access on the go, because things happen when you're on the train, things happen when you're in the office. And it was that there has to be something, because at the same time, I could see that business administration was becoming, and people laugh when I say it was becoming beautifully simplified. And I know it's still a bit clunky, but
Yeah.
actually, if you think about starting a new job, you go in, what you don't get is, oh, so Lulu, if you pop over there, there's a box in that corner that contains that information. There's a file there, there's a file there. Everything is much more organized.
Yeah.
Products like Zero was coming out to the fore, and I thought there has to be a way. And
And Catherine Ann, I think what's really important that you've said there, well, two things is comparing it to business administration is amazing. And also, it's actually been a really long and stressful transition for all of us coming out of paperwork onto digital. I haven't really thought of it like that before, but it has been a transitional process, hasn't it?
oh, it has. And we're still in this hybrid world of, we still have things that are paperwork that we need, and we have things that are digital. So, and they are either, as I said, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, portals, apps. We've got stuff in the cloud. So it's created a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. It has created a mess. And me coming from the legal world, I remember that, in terms of police investigations and things like that. But yeah, I've never thought about it on a personal level. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, what did your business research tell you about others and their daily struggles to keep up with that day-to-day life admin themselves? How much time, money, stress are we spending on it? What are some of the stats?
So that was the first thing I did. Was I thought, is this a Catherine Ann problem? After deciding that I was going to conquer the problem, I'm going to solve this. I thought, actually, I took a step back and said, is this a Catherine Ann problem? Is it me? Or is it a problem? And every single person I spoke to had some level of challenge, some a lot less than others, but everyone had a story, whether it was about them, whether it was about their auntie. And it turns out there was a whole ton of research out there which distilled down tells you that on average, uh, and this is the average person, not everyone,
Yeah,
but people are spending around 32 hours every month just trying to stay on top of it.
amazing.
People
Yeah.
are leaking. So families are leaking about £120 each month. And the mental impact of that is on our mental health is that around 50% of people in the UK alone are suffering stress as a result of the overwhelm. But this is a global challenge. It's not just people in the UK that have life admin. It's people around the globe. And that time is spent on things like searching for paperwork that you don't know where it is, hanging on the phone while you're waiting to find out where, maybe some information from your insurance company, that if you could only find the documentation, you would have it there and you would know. The money that we're leaking is things like, I spoke to one of our users, for example. He and his wife were paying 3 lots of Disney Plus.
Oh, wow.
People are not getting the best deal in their insurance because they either let it lapse and it renews, or they renew at a time where they don't have time to check the premium, or they get fines for sorry, I put my phone in silence. Someone has actually snuck through
That's
the way.
okay.
Apologies, people. Or they're getting fines like me because their tax
Yeah, I was
certificate, they missed their MOT, stuff like that. Just
Yeah, I was going to say fines are a big one, aren't they? And I moved house last year and I had stuff in storage, waiting for a house sale. And my father wasn't well and was trying to sort out all his medical stuff. And the anxiety around, have I done this? Have I done that?
yeah.
And moving everything over, your address and all of that yeah, it was a real huge distraction, let alone with your business owner as well. And you're spending time away from what you should be doing because
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
so I think you've highlighted really well there in terms of that transition we've all been in, some things on paper, some things online, having I find that companies can make it really difficult for us to cancel stuff as well.
Yeah.
But why do you think that the pressure, as you said, it's a global challenge, it gets worse for us when we're already stressed. Why do you think it's increased? And how do you think, it gets worse when we're stressed or under pressure?
So I think the reason it's increased is we have more stuff. So there's a couple of reasons. One is we have more stuff. So we have more warranties than we ever had before. We have more subscriptions. We do live in a digital world. We have more insurances. So we have them held in different places. The other thing is we are living longer. So what can often happen is that someone of mid age is looking after their own life admin, but they may also be looking after their children's and maybe their elderly parents. So that in itself is creating much more stress in regards to the life admin. And I can't remember the second part of your question.
Yeah, it was. I was just going to say, actually, on that note, do you feel that women take on more of their children's and elderly parents' life admin?
So that, do you know, I think that's a great question. And I think on the main, so what our research has told us is in the main, it is women. But there are a lot of women out there who it's their husbands that look after all the life admin. And that's actually not a great position either, because I've had a few men say to me, do you know what, I think Doc, it's great because actually, if anything happened to me, my wife doesn't know where anything is.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot I know, in the legal profession as well. The opposite way around as well. If people have been together since they were, kind of in their 20s or whatever, and something happens to the other one, and one of them's always done it's just an absolute mess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But certainly in terms of, when it comes to children's admin, it generally is, and that's a user group that I speak to a lot is working mums and busy mums. A mum's busy whether they're actually employed or not, because the amount of paperwork that comes with any child is quite phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the second part of my question was that kind of unraveling when we're already stressed or under pressure, that how does, this kind of thing tend to make that stress and pressure even worse?
So it does make it worse, because actually when if you're feeling a bit stressed anyway, then the thought, and this is often talked about, the brown envelope syndrome kicks in. People see a brown envelope, they think it's bad news that's in it, whether it is or not, and they feel stuck that they think, I don't want to open it, I'm just going to put it to the side and hope that it will go away. And it doesn't, and then that just manifests itself in the procrastination causing an individual stress to become greater. Now, I'm no expert in that field of mental health, but it would be interesting to hear from someone who is, that why, psychologically people just can't kind of cut through that. But the more you know yourself, when you're feeling stressed, it just everything seems worse than it is.
Yeah, no, it does. And again, going back to when I was practicing as a lawyer, obviously we're dealing with lots of paperwork for other people as well. And there was lots of times where certain things would sit on your desk that you just absolutely didn't want to deal with because it was a headache. And it's that, yeah, ignoring it.
Yep.
And then it gets more and more stressful. So that totally makes sense. Now, for those who are not tech savvy, they may get themselves in a worse situation with this kind of stuff. But how does Doqit provide a solution for them? And how do your customers get started?
Okay, so Doqit is a web app. So what does that mean? It means that you can use it on your phone, or you can use it on your device, or your laptop, your desktop, whatever. So it carries across any kind of device that you might be using. And it really, in its simplest form, it allows you to upload your documents, but also attached to the document is any renewal date and a reminder. So say, for example, take your house contents insurance. You can take a photograph of it, pull it in, say it's due on the 30th of March. Now, Martin Lewis always gives advice that, and we send this information out to our users, that the sweet spot to renew your contents insurance is 26 days before. That is the day that you'll get the best deal for your contents insurance. So you can set yourself a little reminder on the 4th of March. You don't need to worry about it. On the 4th of March, we'll send you an email to say, hey, Lulu, there's something in Doqit that needs your attention, and you can go to it. Now, in that reminders, so you have all your reminders in one place, so that negates the need for calendar reminders, yellow stickies, sending yourself emails. You can go there and you can see everything that you've got coming up that week, that month, that year. So you, even your passport that might be renewing in 7 years' time, you've got that there in Doqit, so you don't need to worry about it. So it's giving you the not just the reminder, but the paperwork with all the information attached to it. Now, the other thing you can do is add your information, so numbers and references that you may need from time to time, but not every day, like your government gateway, your national insurance, your UTR. You can pop them in there and you've got them. Now, we've put a search facility in it, so you can store your information in different categories, or you can put it, you don't need to worry about putting it in the wrong place, because you can just go in and search UTR and it'll instantly, you've got it there in a flash at your fingertips.
Yeah, and the minute you said that, the first thing I thought, oh, is national insurance number. I'm always going, what is it? What is it? And I've just changed my laptop recently, because sometimes that remembers it. But I was like, oh God, yeah, I'm gonna have to find that so I can see how. Do you know from your customers, the average, do people go on Doqit once a week or once a month, or do you have any information about that?
Because we've not been live long enough to get
Yeah,
really good stats around that. But one of the things that we say to our users is life admin is really overwhelming. So please don't block out a weekend and populate Doqit. Do it as you go along. So what our advice and guidance is, whether people take it or not, is as things come up, add it in. So as your house insurance comes in, set it so that next year you've got it. Your tax return, next year you've got it. Your MOT, next year you've got it. So that it's a little and often. I mean, I always sort of align it to James Clear's Atomic Habits. Get into the habit of it. Or if you come across something, just add it then, as opposed to sitting down and saying, oh, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and do 2 hours life admin. So I would say the average user just now is using it maybe 2-3 times a week, and that's a mix of, some people are uploading, but the thing that brings me joy, we can't see, really important to say this, we can't access or see any information that our users update. No one has access to it other than they do.
yeah.
But what we can see is the information is, so 10 people have uploaded something today, 20 people have viewed information. So that brings me real joy to see that actually people are using it and it's helping them in their day-to-day.
Yeah, and I love that you answered that question, the question that I didn't ask, but I was thinking, oh, does it stress people out, when they sign up and then they're like, oh, now I've got to get everything on there. But as you say, you can just do it as you go along, and it's creating that, empowering habits, as they say. If you want to start flossing your teeth every day, just floss one tooth, just do it as you go along. Or
That's it. Nobody ran a marathon just by getting out of bed. It's like the first thing you have to do is put your shoes on. So it's like, just break it down, those small, tiny habits. And I mean, we do send out like a weekly nudge. And sometimes say, hey, here's a weekly nudge. Have you uploaded this, or have you thought about that? But again, what I don't want to be doing is I never want anyone to feel how I felt. So therefore, I don't want to be overwhelming people. It just wants to be a gentle, hey, have you thought about this? Not a, you have to do this.
yeah, yeah. And is it that you offer a 2-week trial or something like that?
So we offer 45 days. Now, a lot of people have said to me, oh, that's far too long. I don't think it is. I think that to give people a fighting chance of how they can use Doqit. We have extended it to that length of time. So it's like a month and a half, because what that does do is it allows a period of time for an atomic habit to kick in. So it gives them time to register, to have a little look about, to see what it looks like, and then to say, okay, I'm going to add something, I'm going to download something, I'm going to put something else in, and then just to get used to it. And I mean, we've had a couple of people unsubscribe, but on the whole, the retention rate's been really great. I'm really delighted with it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I was going to say, people probably need a chunk of time to,
Yeah.
look into it and see how it works. So that's amazing. Now, what does more time, more money, and less stress mean for us all day to day? Can you paint me a picture?
It means you can do what you really want to do. There's the thing. So if you are not spending, say, 90 minutes, and this is a true story, someone spending 90 minutes hanging on the phone to a call center because they couldn't access the portal to get their insurance information. What else could you do with that hour and a half? You could read a book, you could spend time with your family. So the whole thing is, it's about, this isn't a dress rehearsal. We get one shot at life. Who wants to be doing the life admin?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Here for a good time, not a long time. So it's like having your own digital PA in your pocket that means you can enjoy life, but safe in the knowledge that nothing's falling through the net. Because even sometimes when we do say, oh, I'm going to go and have a great time, but with a niggle at the back saying, did I have something to do today? Was there a renewal due? And it's like, no, everything's in Doqit. I don't need to worry.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So, what were some of your worst admin tasks? And I think you've highlighted really well how Docket helps, but do add anything else that you want to around how Docket might help with some of the worst ones.
So I think for me, that definitely, so there was a couple of things that were really bad. One was the tax return, because I could never find my, do you know, national insurance, UTR, government gateway, could never find them.
Yeah.
Always promised myself this is never going to happen again. So there was £300, that I could have burned in the back garden, and felt better about it. So that was bad. Chloe, I mentioned my daughter earlier. One year she had 52 different hospital appointments, and I had them all in I'd put them all in my work calendar, and that was great, but they get lost with everything else. So what I didn't have was that notification like the day or 2 days before that it was coming up. They would always be on top of me. I needed to take paperwork with me, it was please bring, and it was always the same information, and I could never find it. Um, Again, having a disabled child, every 3 years I had to fill in a disability living allowance form. And if anyone listening has ever had to fill that in, they will know what a heartbreaking, difficult task that is. And it used to take me about 4 weeks, because I could never, and it's not that you need to remember what you've said before, but actually, if you had a note of what you'd said before, it would just make the filling in easier, because you don't have to go through your head of the different challenges that your child has. But the other thing is, could never find, I dropped my phone down the loo, haven't we all?
Yeah, I think we've all had
Oh,
dramas.
do you know what? My Apple insurance had expired 2 weeks prior.
Oh, it's always the way, isn't it, as well?
Oh, so it's things like that. I mean, honestly, I did feel at one point I thought maybe I should try selling Lucky White Heather, but there was all of these things all mounted up and just put me in a place where I had this pile of paperwork and stuff sitting in the kitchen that I used to look at, and I'd think, tomorrow, tomorrow. I could just never do it because it was just too difficult.
Yeah, and I feel like we all have to kind of gear ourselves up to deal with these things that we don't want to deal with. And as you say, sometimes when we've got to call companies, you're on hold for God knows long, how long you can't find the information, they can't find, and it's just, so much time. You mentioned about your tax return. Again, many of our listeners on She Rebel Radio are self-employed, and how, and you previously worked in the communications industry. How has that and being self-employed supported you to build the mission of Doqit?
So I worked over 30 years in the comms industry, and it was B2B sales. So the benefit of that was a couple of things. One, I knew that it took teams of people to put things together. I knew that communications and how you market anything is really important. But the thing that I knew from a sales perspective was A, customer is queen, and B, that actually to get traction, to secure, and although we're business to consumer, but for growth, we are primarily business to consumer. I knew my expectations on how long it takes to convert business is very well managed, because it's what I've done my entire career, is selling to businesses. So I know that what you don't do is go into either a business or an investor for that part and go, hey, I've got this great thing, and they're going to go, fantastic, I've been just waiting on you coming through my door. That
Yeah.
actually everything is everything. In fact, everything in life is about relationships and building good, strong relationships.
Yeah, 100%. And you have a business partner, don't you? And I think what support have you found within the business along the way? And have you had to raise finance, because it is an app, and technology's involved and all of that kind of stuff?
So Damien is my co-founder. He's an absolute yin to my yang. His background is finance, so he was over 17 years with a large bank, working across the different aspects of it. He was also director of ops at the Smart Data Foundry in Edinburgh. So he's detail, he's process. And the other thing that's really important is that he understands the inner workings of the large organizations that we are looking to partner with. So whilst I knew how to go through the front door, he knew what happened when you went through the back door, kind of thing, which was
Yeah.
really, really important. And yes, we raised 120 pre-product. So we did a ton of research. We did a lot of desk research ourselves, and we worked with both, coincidentally, me being Scottish, although I live down south, we worked with both the Edinburgh and Glasgow universities, students, postgrads, to do some research for us, which was fantastic. So we had a lot of great information to help us raise the 120 that we did from angels, and we used that money to build the platform. So we didn't just build from a standing start. We'd done a couple of prototypes, sort of proof of concepts that we'd tested on the market. So we had a really good idea what the customer wanted, why they wanted it, and what they needed from us as our go-to-market offering.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. And you've also been part of the NatWest Accelerator, haven't
Yeah.
you? And what have been some of your other business highs and lows?
So, do you know, the lows are so few, because in fact, someone asked me this the other day. They said, what's your best day? And I said, every day is great. I think that the high is I like to celebrate every single small win. And that's really, really important, because as a startup founder, you don't get loads of big wins. So therefore you have to really celebrate those small wins, because every step forward is that step closer to the next success, whether that's getting a meeting with somebody, connecting with someone, or someone else cheering you on. It's great. Every customer that when we get a notification on my app to say, yep, someone else has signed up, I just allow myself a moment to say thank you. That's fantastic. What are the lows? I think it can be quite lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when you work as a startup founder, and it can be lonely because your friends and family think you're mental, and they wonder when you're going to get a real job. And that's where being part of things like the NatWest Accelerator is fantastic, because it gives you that community of like-minded people who understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I have never met a founder who said, yeah, I'm doing this because I want to be a multimillionaire. Everyone is doing it because they've got a purpose. They want to help people. They want to create something to make tomorrow a better place. So being amongst those like-minded, kindred souls is fantastic. But I would honestly, being on this learning journey is fantastic.
Yeah, and I love that you, even before I ask that question, kind of I can hear in your voice how it brings you joy that people are in their Doqit using it, and it's helping them to improve their day to day, so I can hear that, how much that means to you, which is really lovely to hear, and all those beautiful connections you've made on your business journey, with the NatWest Accelerator, and building those relationships. Now, how do you personally make it work as a woman in business, and what changes would you make in your industry, which is in the tech world now, to inspire the inclusion of more women?
So the advice I would give anyone is just do it. Don't think about anything being a barrier to entry. The only thing that is a barrier to entry is your mindset. I was 60 last year. I have got a daughter who needs 24/7 support. If I can do it, honestly, anyone can do it. You just start. And I would say, particularly for older women who think, oh, maybe I'm a bit past my sell-by date. Absolutely not. You have got so much experience to bring to the table. How should the industry change? It's a great question, and I don't know how to answer it. I think that the only way that change can happen is if we are the change. We need to be the change as women, and just bring ourselves to the table, pull up our own chair if nobody's holding one back, and just make the change happen.
Yeah, and be prepared, as you say, no matter what age, etc., to go on a new adventure, because it really
Mm.
sounds like it's been a fantastic adventure for you to, solve this big problem that you had yourself, and to meet people and be out there doing it and enjoying every second.
Absolutely. And it is, I think that's the my big message to everyone is, startups not for everyone. The journey is not for everyone. But actually, for those who it is, it's great fun and you'll never regret it.
No, no, definitely not. And is it, if someone had told your 25-year-old self this is what you would be doing, would you have ever believed them?
Absolutely not. I was Mrs. Flim Flam back then. I would have thought I would have been sipping a margarita somewhere with a multimillionaire on a yacht.
Yeah, well, it might still come through your own business in another five,
Yeah,
10 years. Who knows?
do you know what? And there's the difference. There's the difference. 100%.
Yeah, it's that bit, being the CEO, that be the CEO instead of the one that you wanted to marry. There's a
Yeah,
thing that goes around Instagram or something saying that, doesn't it?
that's
Um,
true.
so what is inspiring you for 2024, and where can we find you and Doqit?
Oh, so what's inspiring me for 2024? 2024 is a great year, the number 8, it's the year of the dragon, all of that makes it feel such a good vibe. But the thing that is inspiring me is there are more women being in the right place now than there has ever been, and that's on the increase. And that inspires me that tomorrow is going to be better. And it's an Olympic year, so it's a Paralympic year. So that for me as well is inspiring, because there is nothing better than seeing people who are considered less abled to just smashing stuff out the park. So both these things are really inspiring me about this year. Where can people find me? You can find me on LinkedIn, Catherine Ann Reid. There's only one. please connect with me there. Or you can find me through our website, which is Doqit, Doqit.io. So that's Doqit, Doqit.io.
Amazing. Catherine Ann, it's been so good to have you and your energy on She Rebel Radio. And I love that you shared about number 8, because it's the number of abundance.
It is. It is indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to She Rebel Radio. We thank you for listening and thank our headline partners NatWest for sponsoring this series. If this episode has inspired you, please pass it on and share with at least one other incredible woman, and don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review. You can find out more about me and my work at lulumins.com or on most social media platforms.